right in front of the goal, shot and a score! A score right away from Jim Dorsanio on a pass from, I believe, Pedro DeBrito. It's either Dorsanio or Graziano Cornolo. It was one of the two Huskies here. We're going to go make a check on it right away, but we are 28 seconds into the game, and the Huskies have put the first score on the board.
Play the Huskies coming away with the ball in the middle, and there was a loose ball in front. That could have been actually the weather playing a little part in that, where it's slippery field, and it looked like Dorsanio had it all the way and just knocked it home. Powell had no chance of stopping that one.
And to tell you the truth, I was just about to say that the advantage would go to Boston University, since the Huskies are ranked number 1 in the country. They are used to playing on a wider field, a field of grass, and of course not what is a surface as this field is. And right now, all the weather conditions will go in favor of the Boston University Terriors as they played on the slick field. They know how to play the game on their home field. It's more of a destructive game, the kind where you just shoot the ball up the middle and try to put the ball in the nets. And the Huskies usually trying to play the control game, would try to pass it around and from side to side and try to get something going. But right now the Huskies take the quick lead, 1-0, and it's clock is running and the game is being played and the Huskies control the ball. This is Tim Maisley. Maisley with the ball on the right side, just past the 50-yard line, sends it back into the Husky zone where Charlie McSpirit takes it. McSpirit on the left side over to Eric Myron. Myron into the corner for Jim Dorsanio. Dorsanio trying to chip the ball in, can't do so as BU comes away with the steal. A Boston University player had the ball that looked to be number 10, Steve Garrity, but it's stolen by Pedro DeBrito. A tripping call on DeBrito, and the Huskies lose the ball to the foul, and Boston University will be taking the ball the other way. We are just underway here at Nickerson Field. The Huskies quickly getting on the board with 28 seconds into the game, and that's where we stand right now. It's UConn 1, Boston University 0. This is Harold Darak, along with Mark Boudreau. You're listening to The Sound Alternative, WHUS, Storrs, Connecticut. Ball goes out of bounds, last touch by the Huskies, and BU will have a throw-in. Right now it's headed into play by Boston University's John Stather. Stather loses it, though, and the Huskies will come up with it, bringing it the other way. The ball goes out of bounds. Last touched off a BU defender. The Huskies will take it, and will have the throw, and this will be Carlos right in front of around the 40-yard line on the near sideline to us. The benches for both teams are on the far sideline, so if we tell you the throw-in will be right in front of the benches on either side, you can expect to see it on the far sideline. Here's a pass going for Carlos, but he slipped on the play as this field is very wet. The ball goes over the touchline, and Boston University will have a throw-in. Right now, controlling the ball is BU's number 6, John Stather. Stather loses the ball out of bounds. The last touch by the Huskies, and Stather will have a throw-in. Stather right around the Husky penalty zone, passed the ball into Steve Garrity. Garrity, the leading scorer for BU, passes it back to Greg Devereaux. Devereaux controlling the ball. Loses it, though. Coming up with his Jim Dorsanio, but it's kicked away by a BU defender, and gathering it in is Greg Devereaux. Devereaux kicks a high lobber right around midfield, where Pedro DeBrito goes up with a header with another BU player. That's Greg Swanson. And BU sends the ball towards the nets, but Jim Renahan makes the easy save, and the Huskies are now on the offensive attack. You'll have to excuse us if we have some problems with the clock tonight, since this is a football field that does not have the regular 45-minute clock. Instead, we're going to go 3 times with 15, and right now it has 11:53. And if my mathematics is correct, 41 minutes and 53 seconds to go here in the first half. Huskies 1 and Boston University 0. Renahan with the ball, but he will not have a chance to play it as there was a foul called beforehand. I believe it was a trip, and the Huskies will take control of the ball right around the 18-yard line of Nickerson Field. This is Carlos with on the right side. Over to Graziano Cornolo, and a give and go back to Carlos, and he sends it back to Charlie McSpirit, still in the Connecticut zone. McSpirit passes it over to Eric Myron. Myron upfield for, I believe, Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito streaking past a couple of BU players, trying to get it into the middle. DeBrito still controlling the ball. It's still around another BU player. Pass over to Eric Myron. Myron loses it momentarily. Now it's stolen by Boston University, and it's kicked downfield, and they're trying to make a break with a 3-on-3. BU still controlling the ball. This is Stather with it on the right side. Over to teammate Fran Roberts. Roberts gets it up front over to Jim McGregor. McGregor controlling it. Pass back on the right side for a BU defender. BU offender. We cannot see the number. He tries to kick it in the middle. Kicked away by Maisley. Maisley controlling the ball as he knocked down a BU player, and they are yelling for a foul, but the referee will not call it. And the Huskies will take control of the ball. This is Jimmy Renahan.
Harold, Darak, we have some scoring. The official scoring at the 28-second mark into the first half. It was Graziano Cornolo with the goal, and we do not have the assist as of yet because the official scorer, unfortunately, is on the far side of the field.
Okay, we thought it was either Cornolo or Jim Dorsanio. It was Cornolo, And the Huskies lead it 1-0. Clock running down. Huskies ball deep into BU territory. Dorsanio in front, but it's kicked away by Ken Powell, the goalie. It goes over everything, and the Huskies will have the first corner kick of the game as a Conrail train almost ran over the ball. The train station just going right next to the Nickerson Field. There's just a lot of action around this field. We have a highway, we have a train station, we have a river, and we even have a soccer game going as the Huskies lead at 1-0 to Brito with the corner kick. DeBrito sends a lobber in front. Looking for the header is Graziano Cornolo, but it's punched away by Powell. And Boston University tries to clear it. McSpirit keeping the ball in, and now it's kicked out of the way. And it's over the touchline. The Huskies will have the throw-in. Maisley taking the throw-in. Gets it into Jimmy Lyman pretty quick. Lyman trying to get around one defender. Gets it over to Cornolo. Cornolo off his chest looking for Eric Myron. Can't get it, and BU will bring the ball back the other way. Ball stolen by Tim Maisley from Casey Tonnery. Casey Tonnery, the junior out of Duxbury, Massachusetts. He is listed as a forward, and he's playing the wing position tonight. Ball goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Huskies on the far sideline, and taking the ball will be Boston University. Cheche Vidal loses the ball. Coming up with his Connecticut and streaking down the other way is Pedro DeBrito, but the ball, being as slick as it is on this AstroTurf field, goes away from DeBrito over the touchline, and again, BU will have it, bringing it back the other way. 39 minutes and 9 seconds remaining here in the first half. Connecticut going on the scoreboard quickly. 28 seconds into the game, they lead it 1-0. This is Charlie McSpirit sending the pass across field for Eddie Lynch. Lynch controlling the ball. He's starting, I believe, his third or fourth consecutive game of the season for injured Billy Maroney. Lynch gives it over to Graziano Cornolo. Cornolo back to Lynch. Lynch sending it way back to Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit will start up the offense for the Connecticut Blue. McSpirit, crossfield pass to John Brubacher. Brubacher over to Eric Myron. Myron now sending it upfield for Carlos. Carlos has the ball stripped from him from the behind by Casey Tonnery, and the ball is still being going around loosely in the area. They're going to call a foul on Connecticut, a push, and BU will have the ball.
I'd like to remind you at halftime, Harold Darak will be talking with Charlie Vacaris from the Willimantic Chronicle, so you might want to stay tuned for that one.
And BU controlling the ball. It's deep in there. It's deep in the Connecticut side of the field. Casey Tonnery has it, but he's being badgered by a couple of Huskies. He finally gets the pass off to Greg Swanson, but before he could do so, he was pushed from the behind. And BU will have a direct kick about 40 yards out. Make that 45 yards out of the Connecticut goal. BU controlling the ball. And it's quickly stolen by Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit on the runaway. McSpirit trying to get a pass up to DeBrito. DeBrito will have a 1-on-2 break. One BU defender. DeBrito sends a shot up front, wide to the left as he goes over everybody and everything. He took that from about 30 yards out, maybe a little bit too early.
That was a nice play, Harold. He had it from 35 yards, and he wisely made the right move as he shot it on Kenny Powell, who was out of the net and off guard, and if it was on net, it would have been a goal.
Unfortunately for BU, Kenny Powell did touch it. The ball went out of bounds, and it'll be a corner kick for the Huskies. Taking this one, I believe, is McSpirit. Header in front by DeBrito. It still bounces loose in the air. McSpirit Cornolo gets a hand on it, and a foot on it is had by John Brubacher. Still in play. DeBrito gets a head on it. It's now loose in front of the Connecticut goal. DeBrito sends it over the touchline, and it will be a throw-in. They're going to call it a goal kick, they say it's going to go over the end line. And a goal kick for the Boston University Terriors with 37 minutes and 5 seconds to go here in the first half. Kenny Powell kicks the ball deep, headed by John Brubacher, kept into the BU zone. And this is Pedro DeBrito controlling the ball again. DeBrito playing some fine ball here today. Sends a pass up for Jimmy Lyman. Almost stolen. Lyman controlling it now. It's kicked away and controlled by Eric Van Sickle. Van Sickle loses it. Coming up with a shot on goal is Eddie Lynch, but it goes wide to the left, and another goal kick for the Terriers, this time again to be had by Kenny Powell.
Harold, a little deceiving of the field is the out-of-bounds line for the football is not the marking for the out-of-bounds for soccer. It's officially 120 by 59. Not quite an official soccer field, 1 yard short.
And not only that, the width is considerably smaller than a regular-sized soccer field. At least Gardner Dow, I believe, is the most maximum you can get for a soccer field. And this is probably close to the minimum that you could have.
It's 1 yard short of the minimum.
Even on the width side?
Yes.
Okay, 36 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Connecticut with a 1-goal lead, 1-0. That was Graziano Cornolo, 28 seconds into the game. They have the ball deep in the BU zone. Racing for it is Jim Dorsanio along with Greg Wickles, but the ball goes out of bounds before either of them can get it, and the ball pass was sent in by Eddie Lynch. So another goal kick, this time to be had by number 16, Dave Munson. Munson sends the ball on the play, sends it over everybody's head, and controlling it will be McSpirit. McSpirit tries to get it back into the Terrier zone. He does do that, but it gets it right to a Terrier foot. It's Jim McGregor controlling the ball. McGregor sends it back to his teammate, who sends it right back to McGregor, and the Huskies come up with a steal. This is DeBrito. DeBrito being badgered from behind by McGregor, sends a pass on the left side for Eric Myron. Myron sends a pass up front, stolen by Steve Garrity, and Garrity will send it back into the Connecticut zone, where it is misplayed by a Connecticut Husky. It's a 1-on-2 break, and a good play by, I believe, Timmy Maisley. Make that Charlie McSpirit as he sends it over the touchline, and the Huskies avert a possible shot on goal, and it'll be a throw-in for the BU Terriers. They send the ball on the play, and now kicked out of bounds again by the Huskies. Another throw-in for BU. Clock running with 35 minutes and 1 second to go. Pass in for Jim McGregor. It is misplayed. It's kicked back to another BU player, and it's now bouncing around loose, and it's being headed off by a few players. This time getting in on it is Greg Swanson. Swanson has the ball settled down, but the Huskies come up with it on a steal. This is DeBrito sending it up for Jim Dorsanio. Dorsanio will be breaking on the other side, but he doesn't have enough players on his side to do anything with the ball. Kicked out of bounds by Steve Garrity, and the Huskies will have a throw-in right around the 20-yard line. Taking the throw-in will be Eric Myron. Myron sending it right up to Graziano Cornolo. Cornolo having a few problems with a few BU players. Sends a pass back to Carlos, but before he does so, he is fouled from the behind, I believe, on a push, and the Huskies will have a direct kick about 10 yards out of the penalty area. Taking the direct kick will be Pedro DeBrito. Huskies lining up all their men right around the goal line of the football field, which is 10 yards out of the penalty area. DeBrito sends it in front, looking for the header was, I believe, number 13, Eddie Lynch. He couldn't get it, and BU successfully gets the ball out away from the penalty area and is still controlling it. Whistle on the play. Huskies get called for a push, and BU will now have a direct kick, and they do stop the Huskies from scoring one more time. Remember, Huskies lead this game 1-0. 28 seconds into the game, it was Graziano Cornolo. We're not sure who made the assist, but for Cornolo, it was his 4th goal of the year. He is now the leader in points for the Huskies with 9. 4 goals and 1 assist. Charlie McSpirit controlling the ball over to Pedro DeBrito. They are now in the Connecticut zone. DeBrito give and go back. Charlie McSpirit, and DeBrito controls it. And DeBrito sending a pass up for McSpirit again. Has the ball stolen by Tonnery. Tonnery battling for it with a few Huskies. A couple men are down on the ground. A whistle on the play, and let's see what they're going to call. They're going to call it BU way on a push. The Huskies are arguing with it. No, it's going to be a drop ball. As Mark wisely alerts me, and the ball is kicked out of bounds. Last touch by BU. The Huskies will have a throw-in. Johnny Bubacher taking it. 33 minutes exactly to go here in the first half. Bubacher gets the ball into Carlos. Carlos streaking towards the middle. Gets around one BU player. Sends it into the penalty area. Looking for it is Ken Powell, but coming to take the ball away is Greg Devereaux. And Devereaux gets it back to Powell, who gathers it in. And he's being confronted right now by Jim Dorsanio. And Dorsanio trying to get the ball from Powell, but can't do so as Powell kicks the ball up towards midfield. With the ball, John Bubacher. Bubacher pushes from behind beforehand, and a whistle on the play, and another direct kick, this time going to BU again.
Right there, Harold Powell came out for the ball. It was loose in front, and he had trouble picking it up, and he's going to have trouble all night because stick him in this situation won't help you one bit.
Cheche Vidal sends the ball on the play, passes over to Greg Devereaux. Devereaux passing it over to teammate Casey Tonnery. Tonnery over to Jim McGregor. BU controlling the ball for just a little while. This is Vidal again. Vidal passing it on the right side for Eric Van Sickle. Van Sickle passing it to a teammate, and he's going to have it on the right side. Shot blocked by one of his own teammates. Coming up with it is John Stather. Stather winning the right side, being matched by a couple Huskies in front for Casey Tonnery. Tonnery has it. He's still controlling the ball, but he's being pushed away from the goal area. Passed to a teammate in the corner. We can't see it, but Eric Myron playing him one-on-one. Myron making some progress with him. DeBrito coming to help out, and a whistle on the play, and they're going to call a foul on the Huskies. Make that the ball going out of bounds. Last touch by the Huskies, and we're going to have a throw-in from the right sideline, right around the 20 yards away from the goal. A throw-in, the best opportunity for the BU today, and the ball is kicked away by the Huskies. You did not see who it was, but the Huskies coming back the other way. This is Graziano Cornolo, and Cornolo controlling it. Pass over to Dorsanio. Dorsanio going. He slows it up now. Passes it back over for Eddie Lynch. Lynch upfield for teammate Jimmy Lyman. He can't do anything with it, and Lyman sends the ball over to Graziano Cornolo. Overshoots him, and coming up with it is Dave Munson, the back, who hails from Bloomfield, New Jersey, who passes all the way back to the goalie, Kenny Powell, and BU will start it up there. 31 minutes and 6 seconds to go here in the first half. Connecticut 1 and Boston University nothing. Connecticut not controlling the balls. They almost had a shot at stealing it, but BU keeps with it. It's Cheche Vidal. Vidal passing over to Munson. Munson on the left side trying to get it into the Connecticut zone. He does so with a lob pass, but the play is stopped, and we have an offsides violation on the BU Terriers. So let's call it a Husky indirect kick about 35 yards out from the Connecticut goal. This will be Tim Maisley taking it. Maisley gets it over to Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit, the captain, who hails from Verona, New Jersey, trying to get across into BU territory. Sends a nice lobber in front for Pedro DeBrito, but it's headed away by Cheche Vidal, and BU controls it the other way. This is Stather. Stather coming down and sends it all the way into the Connecticut zone, but he overshoots his teammate, and Eric Myron sends it back to Jimmy Renahan, and Renahan will start up the Connecticut offense. And there could be a problem with that. If Myron ever sent a ball back and Renahan slipping on the turf could have some problems with it, he could be shooting it into his own goal. So there's always a problem with even the defense, especially when the field is not the best type of field you're going to play in. This is a wet field. It's raining out, and it's very cold out. The Huskies and BU having some problems. There's not as much slipping as you want. And just as I said that, Cheche Vidal sends sprawls out on the ground.
That's a very good point, Harold. One thing, it's not like one of the AstroTurf fields where they had a chance to squeegee it off. The water is just everywhere, and when the ball moves, you see the water come up from the turf, so it's very wet out there.
Vidal sends the ball in the play on a direct kick. It's headed away by the Huskies, controlled by Carlos. Carlos sends it in the left side. There's not one Husky there, and it's cleared away by the Boston University backfield, and it goes over the touchline. The Huskies will have a throw-in. For all you soccer fans in the area, we'll give you some scores that happened yesterday. BC defeated Tufts 4-0. BC upping their record to 4-3. Tufts falling 1-2. Rhode Island over Providence 1-0, and back home, University of Hartford over Wesleyan by the score of 3-2. And for all those who are interested in Rhode Island, they are ranked 19th in the country. Their record is up to 3 wins and 2 losses. Those 2 losses coming to UCLA, and the other one, I believe, to Vermont. But you might have to correct me on that one. I'm not exactly sure. Huskies controlling the ball. DeBrito has the ball stripped from him by BU, and its ball is almost stolen back again, but Carlos will get called for a push right directly on the BU player, and we have 28 minutes and 50 seconds to go here in the first half, as BU will control the ball on a direct kick. BU player kicking it over everybody and everything. It rolls all the way down to about the 5-yard line in front of the Connecticut goal, where Charlie McSpirit will take it for the Huskies.
If you haven't had a chance yet also to check out the New England soccer poll this week, it's out. UConn, of course, number 1, 5-0. Rhodey, number 2, 2-2. Then it goes number 3, BC, number 4, Yale, number 5, Harvard, number 6, UNH, and number 7, the Terriers of Boston University.
Coming up with the ball, Jimmy Lyman streaking towards midfield, gets over a pass to Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito around one BU player. He's right in front of the goal. DeBrito around the second one, pass in front over to his teammate Jim Dorsanio, kicked away by the Boston University defenders, and BU comes back with it as the Huskies do not get the ball in the net. Eric Meyer looking for the steal. Now Pedro DeBrito looking for the steal, but DeBrito gets the ball over the touchline, and it will be a throw-in for Boston University. And as I said right in the beginning of the broadcast, it is very difficult to pick up the numbers on the backs of Boston University. They have very small numbers, and they're in red, and we are having some problems picking up some of the names, especially on the far side of the field. And taking the throw-in right now will be John Stather for Boston University. Stather gets the ball in he's looking for teammate Steve Garrity, but he overshoots him, and the Huskies will have the ball as it goes over the touchline, and they will have a throw-in, and the ball is going to go all the way back to Renahan. And Renahan will start things up for the Connecticut Blue. This is Eddie Lynch. Lynch taking the ball down the right sideline. He is in the Connecticut zone. He gets it over to Graziano Cornolo, but it's kicked out of bounds before Cornolo could take it by John Stather. And Stather seems to be all over the field. He's playing a very fine ball game so far. And the Huskies will take a throw-in. This is Jim Lyman. Lyman sending the ball in to Graziano Cornolo off his head. He was shooting for Pedro DeBrito, but it's stolen by Eric Van Sickle. Van Sickle sending the ball back to Powell, the sophomore out of Summit, New Jersey. And Powell loose in front of the goal to DeBrito. DeBrito around him. Shot on goal over the crossbar. And it just went over the crossbar as DeBrito stole the ball from Kenny Powell, who was going to try to deposit it. And DeBrito having a wide open goal as one BU defender, I believe it was Cheche Vidal, looking to try to get the ball away, but DeBrito just misshot it. And Connecticut had a perfect opportunity to make this score 2-0, but they could not do so, and BU will take the goal kick.
Pedro will see that one in his sleep for a couple of days, because you don't get opportunities like that only but once in a golden 10-year span. And Pedro missed that one. It was a sure goal for him.
Right now, Connecticut had the ball, and they lost it. It went over the touchline, and Boston University will come up with a throw-in, headed off by Eric Myron. Myron sends the ball into midfield, where it's settled down by Greg Swanson. Swanson controlling it. He loses it to DeBrito again. DeBrito's been all over the field. DeBrito down the left sideline, trying to get around Chase Shaver. Now, shot on goal, over everything again. And DeBrito really wants that goal bad. He's been shooting all evening towards that net, and he had a wide opportunity the last time. But this time he really didn't have the good angle as Kenny Powell came out to make the play, but it went over everybody, and a goal kick will be had by the Terriers of Boston University. Sending the ball in the play is Kenny Powell. It's headed off a few players. Elvis Comrie checking into the game during the last time. Had a foot on the ball, but he lost it, and it's being bounding around loose. And Pedro DeBrito sending a pass to the right side for Comrie. Deep in the BU zone. Comrie trying to get around one player, slipping on the ground. It's kicked away and over the touchline. We'll whistle on the play, and we're going to have a push by Comrie. And Comrie felt he was pushed from behind, didn't like it, and pushed right back. And so BU will have a direct kick, but Comrie coming into the game, also checking into the game for the Huskies, number 19, Kieran Coffey. So a few substitutions during that last timeout, which we really did not see. We cannot hear the horn up here, as it's very quiet. We are in an enclosed press box.
We're in Xanadu up here.
We could be in Xanadu. We cannot see exactly when new players do come in, but once we do spot them, we'll try to inform you as best as we can. Ball going over the touchline. Last touch by BU, a throw-in by John Brubacher. Brubacher gets the ball in to Pedro DeBrito, but he's pushed from behind, and we're going to have another, this time a direct kick taken by Eric Myron. No, he's going to give it back to Brubacher. Brubacher taking the direct kick. We have 24 minutes and 41 seconds here to go in the first half. Connecticut 1-0. Elvis Comrie with the ball. Pass on the right side to Jimmy Lyman. Lyman loses it as he tries to get it back to Comrie. And BU will take control of the ball. He sends it, sending it up front. It goes over the touchline into a puddle where Connecticut will have the throw-in. Coffey takes the throw-in, gets it to Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit to a wide-open Jimmy Lyman, who back passes over to McSpirit. McSpirit on the left side over to Carlos. Carlos over to Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito trying to get around a couple BU defenders, but it's knocked away by Casey Tonnery. Tonnery passes on the right side over to John Stather. Stather sending it into Connecticut's zone, but he goes over everybody and everything again. And Connecticut will have a throw-in right in front of the BU bench. This time it'll be John Brubacher. We have a whistle on the play. And I think we have an official's timeout. We'll wait and see what they're going to call. The whistle still had. Finally, Connecticut puts the ball in the play. We do not know what that stoppage of action really was. Elvis Comrie controlling ball on the left side. He's deep in the BU zone. Gets in front for Elvis Comrie, but it's stolen in front by BU. Now it's stolen back. This time by Carlos. Carlos shot, score! Carlos steals the ball for Boston University and throws it in the net. And with 8:35 plus 15, so 23 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the first half. It's Connecticut 2 and Boston University nothing. Carlos gets the goal.
And I believe the assist on that will go to number 11, Elvis Comrie. And that's official as we hear the public address announcer. And Carlos picks up goal number 1 for him this evening, and goal number 2 for the Huskies. The Huskies lead it 2-0.
We'll get the time on that, the official time, as soon as we have it from the official score. But BU will have the kickoff. Huskies taking a 2-0 lead here, trying to show their dominance in New England as well as the country. We'd like to remind you their next soccer game will be a home game versus Bridgeport. That will be this Sunday. Maybe a lot of you soccer fans want to come and see the Huskies play the Purple Knights of Bridgeport. And after that, they'll be going on a 3-game road trip to California, where they'll be playing the Cal Berkeley team along with the University of San Francisco Dons, who were number 1 in the nation last year. They stand at number 12 this year. And also the Stanford team. So 3 teams playing at the West Coast. WHUS will be there. And so maybe you could stay tuned and tune in for that one. That will be probably the biggest trip ever taken by the Connecticut Huskies soccer team, and they hopefully will be number 1 in the country when that happens. The official timing of that goal was 21-25 of the first half. Carlos from Elvis Comrie, and the score Connecticut 2 and Boston University nothing. Right now, BU controlling the ball on a throw-in right in front on the near sideline around the 40-yard line. This is Dave Munson. Munson sending the ball into teammate Jim McGregor. McGregor keeping the ball in his own territory, passing it deep on the right side over to Steve Garrity. He has a race with it before it goes over the line, and he gets to the ball. Garrity passing it up front for a teammate, and it's stolen this time by Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito seems to be all over the field tonight. DeBrito pass back over to Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit to Elvis Comrie, and Comrie sending it back to Brubacher. And Brubacher starts the offense up for the Connecticut Huskies. This is Tim Maisley. Maisley with it, getting around the 45-yard line into the BU zone. Pass on the left side over to Coffee. Coffee looking for Pedro DeBrito, overshoots him, and it goes out of bounds over the touchline, and this ball will be had by number 3, Eric Van Sickle, and Van Sickle will take the throw-in. Van Sickle looking for a teammate, Greg Davies, who just checked into the game, gets it off his leg, goes out of bounds, and the Huskies want to throw in, going the other way. DeBrito over to Elvis Comrie. Comrie trying to get around a few BU defenders, going on the left side, now trying to get into the middle, and he passes it all the way back to Charlie McSpirit. Now Comrie just coming off a cold. This is not very good weather for him to be playing in. McSpirit passing the left side, looking for, I believe, looks like number 18, Brian Stevenson, who just checked into the game, but he overshoots him. It goes over the touchline, and BU again with a throw, and this time Kenny Powell takes it. And Powell very close to the sideline, but he is still in the penalty area. That shows you how short in width this field really is, as the penalty area goes almost all the way out to the touchline, and he has complete control of the goal area. A race for the ball now between John Brubacher and number 7, Greg Davies. Davies gets to the ball first, sends it back to the left side to Greg Munson. Dave Munson deep in the Connecticut territory, but it's kicked out of bounds by, I believe, Kieran Coffey, and it looks like we're going to have the first corner kick of the game for the BU Terriers.
And I believe it's going to be a direct kick right outside or a drop ball right at the goal area.
And it is going to be a drop ball between Carlos and a BU player. BU takes the ball. Coming up with it is number 5, Greg Devereaux. Devereaux loses it momentarily. It's kicked back, and they're going to have another drop kick again, as the referee just did not like what he saw. This would be Dave Munson again with Carlos. Carlos taking again will be BU. This is number 9, Jim McGregor. McGregor trying to send a shot in front. It's cleared by Jim Dorsanio, and the pass all the way up to Elvis Comrie. Comrie on a 1-on-3 break. He's being raced from behind by Greg Devereaux. Loses it momentarily, but has the ball stripped from him this time by Steve Garrity. It looked like he almost would get the ball back again, and BU controls it. Into the Connecticut zone is Jim McGregor. Stolen back by the Huskies. This is Carlos racing forward along with Dave Munson. Munson gets it first and sends it back in the Connecticut zone. But there's no BU player there as the ball sent all the way back to Jimmy Renahan, and the Huskies will take control of the ball right there. 19 minutes and 57 seconds to go here in the first half. Harold Darak along with Mark Boudreau, the Huskies of Connecticut 2, the Terriers of Boston University 0, and BU is controlling the ball. This is Fran Roberts, the sweeper, sending the ball in front where it's taken by Cheche Vidal. Vidal loses the ball to Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito coming back with it on the offensive side. DeBrito slowing the ball up, getting it over to teammate Jimmy Lyman. Lyman sending it on the right side to Kieran Coffey. Coffey over to Maisley. Maisley now right on the 50-yard line, left side to Lyman. Lyman sends it in the middle, getting around 2 BU players, but loses it to Jim McGregor of the Terriers. But a whistle on the play, and Lyman was tripped on the play, and it'll be a direct kick around 30 yards out of make that 40 yards out of the BU goal.
Harold, the rain has for the moment stopped, but now the wind has whipped up. We had no wind at game time, but now the flag down at the far end of the field to our left is really, really whipping up, so it's got to be chilly out there.
Huskies with a very good scoring opportunity as they are 40 yards out of the goal. Charlie McSpirit looking for the shot. The Huskies are going to set up some patented play as there's about 5 Huskies around the 10-yard line, and we'll see if BU tries to put the old offsides trap on them, which they could possibly do. Clock running with 18 minutes and 43 seconds to go here in the first half. And they're waiting for everyone to set up. McSpirit getting ready to take the kick. Elvis Comrie on the line, along with Pedro DeBrito, along with about 3 or 4 more Huskies. Everything is now set. McSpirit looks like he's going to kick a field goal as he's all alone back there. A 2-man wall by the BU Terriers. And here's the kick. McSpirit with a lobber in front, headed up by Kieran Coffey, settled down on the foot of one Husky, kicked away by a BU Terrier, and McSpirit has it again. McSpirit lobs it in front again, but it's picked up by Kenny Powell, the goalie, as Elvis Comrie raced in to look for a shot on goal, but Powell alertly came out of the net and made the play, and it will be the BU Terriers ball. This time Powell sends the ball way downfield, I believe, for one of his teammates checking into the game. For the Huskies during that last timeout, I believe, was number 17, Elio Romeo. We'll have to check that. As we cannot see, we'll apologize, we cannot see every number. Right now, BU player slipping on the field. It's Greg Devereaux slipping, and the Huskies come up with the ball. Pedro DeBrito had it, stripped from behind by Dave Munson. Munson controlling it for BU, passes it back to Chichi Vidal. Vidal, lobber on the right side, was headed away by Stevenson, and he's going to head it downfield over to line right near the Husky bench, and it'll be a throw-in for Eric Van Sickle, the back from for the BU Terriers from Miami, Florida. Huskies controlling the ball, but they will lose it on a direct kick as they had a push from behind. And BU will take the ball in their possession. 17 minutes and 36 seconds to go here in the first half. A steal on the play by Dorsani. He was held from behind, and we're going to have a whistle. And Joe Maloney and Coach Eric Swallow are just screaming at the referee that was a play that really was not called for. And the referee stopping the whistle. The clock is still moving. I mean, not stopping the whistle, but whistling the play dead. And I believe we're going to have our first yellow card of the game, and we do so, but I cannot pick up that number. Mark, see if you can. They're going to give it to number 21, Cheche Vidal, for holding Jim Dorsanio after the steal. And the Huskies will have a direct kick about 55 yards out of the BU net. McSpirit kicks off the side of his foot to Eric Myron. Give and go back to McSpirit does not work as a BU player steps in between, and Boston controls the ball. Steal by Coffey. Good pass over to, I believe, Graciano Cornola. Now over to Jim Lyman, where again stripped by Boston University, and they'll take the ball the other way. This time it's number 6, Carlos losing it over to Jim McGregor. McGregor coming back with the ball on the other side. Now ball kicked up in the air as McSpirit got a foot on it. And I believe we're going to have the ball going out of bounds. Last touch by BU, a throw-in for the Huskies.
And Mr. Vidal is being pretty consistent this season. In 5 games, he's had 3 yellow cards, so you can tell what kind of player he is. He's a very aggressive soccer player.
And he was on the Venezuelan national and Olympic team as he hails from Caracas of Venezuela. And I guess they teach
Mr. Zubi Zaretta.
He probably did. I bet you they teach him a little aggressiveness down in the Venezuela zone. This is Carlos with the ball in the BU zone. Lobber in front for DeBrito, overshoots him, and it's settled off the foot of Greg Devereaux. And Devereaux sends it back to Powell, but it's almost stolen there by McSpirit. But Powell does come up with the ball with 16 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the first half. BU controlling. And they send it upfield where Jimmy Lyman gets a foot on it, sends it back into the BU zone. Looking for right now is number 15, Jim Dorsanio, but it's kicked over the goal line, over the end line, touchline. Last touch by BU, and Connecticut has it. Elvis Conway, a give and go right in front of the goal, but Kenny Powell comes out alertly as Dorsanio tried to make a shot. And it looks like he made a nice save on that one. 15 minutes and 40 seconds to go here in the first half. Our next Husky broadcast will be this Saturday at 1 o'clock, the UConn Huskies WHUS sports page, to be followed at 1:25 with the perennial rivalry, the Huskies versus the Bulldogs of Yale at the Yale Bowl. Airtime 1:25, it'll be Jeff Dobeck and Tony Savino bringing you that one live. And following that, of course, will be the Athletic Supporter. Connecticut controlling the ball. This is Charlie McSpirit around the 50-yard line. Sends it on the right side to Coffey. Coffey back pass over to Carlos. Carlos sending it into the BU zone where it's headed by a Boston University player. That's Jim McGregor. McGregor sends a pass out to Greg Swanson. Swanson controlling it. Looking on the right side for a teammate. That's Steve Garrity streaking down the right side, but he can't get it to Garrity and pass over to McGregor instead. McGregor pass to teammate Casey Tonnery. Tonnery having some problems getting away from the Huskies, but he does so, getting a pass to a teammate who sends it into Cheche Vidal, but Vidal has the ball stolen from him by Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito sends it back to Jimmy Renahan. And Renahan will control the ball for Connecticut offense as BU retreats to get on the defensive side. 14 minutes and 45 seconds to go in the first half. Connecticut controlling most of the game. They lead it 2-0 on goals by Graziano Cornolo, his 4th of the season, and Carlos, his 1st of the season. And Carlos make that his 2nd of the season. 2 goals for Carlos, 2 assists, and that gives him 6 points on the year. BU controlling the ball. This is Casey Tonnery. Tonnery getting the ball in front of the net, but the Huskies are all over it. Now pass deep in the zone for Greg Devereaux. Devereaux trying to save the ball over at the end line. He can't do so, and the Huskies will have a goal kick with 14 minutes and 10 seconds to go here in the first half. We'd like to take this time to thank the Women's Radio Collective for letting us preempt them tonight, when you can hear them every Wednesday evening from 7 to 10 on your sound alternative. And we'd also like to thank Ben Palazzo, who is back at WHUS right now doing a fine job as technical director for this broadcast. Here's Jimmy Renahan sending the ball into play, passing it on the left side for, I believe, Graziano Cornolo. No, let's check that. It's going to be, we cannot see who that is. At number 16 for the Huskies, Bob LeMay, who just checked into the game. LeMay had control of the ball, but he was upended from behind by BU, and it'll be a direct kick for the Connecticut Huskies. The clock is running, 13:25 to go here in the first half. And this is a very tough game to broadcast as we are just taking guesses on which player is which out there. As Huskies coming up with the ball. Jimmy Lyman losing it momentarily, coming up with his Greg Devereaux. Last kicked off his teammates' leg. That's Casey Tonnery, and the Huskies will have a throw. And Elvis Comrie being pushed from behind, no call. He still controls the ball, but it's now stolen from behind by Dave Munson. And Munson gets a pass over to teammate Tom Bianco, who just checked into the game. Bianco from Providence, Rhode Island. Bianco kicks the ball back to teammate Munson. Munson going over for Cheche Vidal. It's stolen by Elvis Comrie. Comrie looking for Cornola, but he's pushed from behind, and the ball is stolen by Dave Munson. No call as the ball goes all the way to the goalie, Ken Powell. And BU outlets the ball on the right side for the Huskies. This is Brian Stevenson stealing the ball. Stevenson sends it back to a teammate who gets it back to Charlie McSpirit. And McSpirit starts the offense up. McSpirit looking for LeMay, but he overshoots him. LeMay loses the ball, and coming up with it is Greg Swanson for BU. Swanson back passes to another teammate. Back to Swanson. Swanson right in front of the penalty area. Shot on goal. Wide to the right. And I believe that's one of the first shots on goal by the Boston University Terriers this evening.
It sure is, Harold. While we have this time here, let's tell you that UConn Husky soccer action here on WHUS is made possible in part through generous underwriting grants for the following local establishments: Subway footlong sandwiches, Holiday Spirits, University Pizza, Nice Trout, Ted's Restaurant, the Family Fashion Center, South Windsor Dairy Queen, and Cheese and Things. So we'd like to thank all them. And next time you're in one of those fine establishments, tell them how much you enjoy Harold, Darak, and UConn soccer right here on the Sound Alternative.
11 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the first half. Connecticut 2. And Boston University 0, Connecticut controlling the ball, and they've controlled most of the pace here in the first half. Jim Lyman over to Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit around the 45-yard line. Pass on the right side to Bob LeMay. LeMay looking for coffee. Instead gets it to Elvis Comrie. Comrie back to McSpirit, who lobs it in front, headed down by Cornell over to Eric Byron. Right side to Elvis Comrie, but it's kicked away by Boston University. Goes over the touchline, and Connecticut will have another shot at it. Coffee quickly gets the ball and bounce to McSpirit. McSpirit pass on the left side over to Jimmy Lyman. Lyman trying to send the ball into the penalty area. He can't do so. Give and go with a teammate. Lyman has it, but he's pushed from behind. He's on the ground, no call. Ball loose in front of the goal. Coming up with his Comrie. Comrie passes over to number 10, Eric Myron, back to Comrie, and over to Charlie McSpirit, who gets it to Coffee on the right side. Coffee gets around one BU player. Passes it back to Bob LeMay. LeMay looking to lob it in. Looking for one Connecticut player, but it's headed away by, I believe, number 9, Jim McGregor, and BU goes on the offense. Let me check that. That's number 20, Greg Swanson, who made the play.
And right there, racing for the ball, number 7, Greg Davies of BU goes flying out of bounds and hit the scorer's table. And he got up, but that had to sting a little bit.
Connecticut gets the ball as the ball goes over the touchline, and they will have a throw-in. This will be Charlie McSpirit. Clock running down, 10 minutes and 34 seconds here in the first half, as Connecticut has a 2-goal lead. The Huskies won't be a throw-in. It'll be a direct kick, and McSpirit sending a lobber in front, looking for the header's Dorsanio, but he sends it right into the hands of Kenny Powell, the goalie, who alertly came out of the goal again, and he's being badgered by Elvis Comrie, as Comrie is right in front of him. He will not let Powell take a kick, and he's really bothering Powell. Powell now rolls the ball around, trying to kick it around Elvis, and Powell had a little complaint for the referee, but that's exactly what Elvis wants to do, is disturb Powell into making a mistake. Huskies control the ball on the kick. This is Jim Dorsanio. Dorsanio kicking it for a teammate, Eric Byron, but Byron was cutting the wrong way, and coming up with his Vidal. Vidal gets the pass all the way upfield for teammate Greg Devereaux. Devereaux sends it on the right side for a breaking BU player, but no one really broke on the play, and the only Huskies on the side, and the Huskies come up with it. This is Eric Byron over to John Brubacher. Brubacher looking to send the ball upfield as he left foot boots it right into the BU zone, but right into the head of, again, Cheche Vidal. And Vidal gets called for a foul as the Huskies will put the ball in play on a direct kick. 9 minutes and 31 seconds remaining here in the first half. Charlie McSpirit passed the ball on the right side. This time it's Kieran Coffey. Coffey right around the 40-yard line in the BU zone, trying to get the Connecticut offense going. Pass over to Bob LeMay is stolen by a BU player. This time it is again Greg Devereaux. Devereaux having a fine game so far today. He has 1 goal on the season. He has taken 12 shots on the statistics, but he is everywhere where the ball is. Devereaux playing a fine game. And we haven't heard much from Steve Garrity. Garrity, the leading scorer on the team, not very impressive statistics, only 2 goals and 1 assist, as the BU team on the year has only scored 6 goals. They have allowed only 3, and the goalie Ken Powell has an average of 0.8 goals against, but already the Huskies have scored 2 today. And one thing you can expect when you play the Huskies is that you will, as a goalie, is that you will leave with a higher goals average against you than when you came in the game, as the Huskies have really ruined a lot of averages as they've played so far this year. 8 minutes and 30 seconds to go here in the first half. And the Huskies will control the ball on a direct kick in the BU zone. Charlie McSpirit sends it on the left side for Eric Myron. Make that Brian Stevenson, and Stevenson loses the ball to a BU player. Number 3, Eric Van Sickle kicks the ball out of bounds, and Stevenson will have the throw in. Stevenson on the far sideline, right into Elvis Comrie. Comrie trying to get around Van Sickle. He cannot do so. Yet Van Sickle badgering, and the ball goes out of bounds, and it's going to be last touch by Comrie, and we're going to see, I believe, a goal kick by the BU Terriers. Taking the goal kick will be Kenny Powell. Good defense on that last set of plays by Eric Van Sickle, who would not let Comrie get around him. And the Huskies do not get on the board this time. 2-0 Connecticut on goals by Graziano Cornolo and Carlos Carlos. Remember, my halftime guest will be Charlie Vacris from the Willimantic Chronicle. This is Steve Garrity. Garrity kicking the ball in the Connecticut zone for a racing Greg Davies. Davies loses the ball as he cannot get to it that quickly. He goes over the touchline before he can really make a play on it. Whistle on the play, and the Huskies will have a throw-in right in front of the BU bench. As fans on hand, it's a pretty good crowd considering the rain is now stopped. It is still pretty cold. There's about 300 fans on hand. That's not including the fans in the dormitories that are watching the game from their windows, which is right on our left.
Coach Joe Maroney feeling a little bit more confident right now. Some substitutions in for the Huskies, wearing number 13, Elio Romeo. Eddie Lynch, that is wearing number 13, wearing number 17, Elio Romeo, and wearing number 20, Roger Viernes. So the Huskies substituting here early in the first half.
Eddie Lynch, who started the game, rechecking into the game, passing the right side to Elio Romeo, but Romeo has the ball stolen from behind, and it could be a break for the BU Terriers, but broken up nicely by Charlie McSpirit as Greg Davies started something up. BU still controlling the ball. This is Vidal around midfield, passing to the Connecticut zone, but Jim Renahan coming really far out from the net, and he makes the play. As Vidal trying to set something up with just a blast right up the middle, but alertly Renahan coming out of the goal, and the Connecticut controls the ball. This is Eddie Lynch. 6 minutes and 27 seconds left to go here in the first half. Lynch back over to Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit trying to start up some offense for the Connecticut Blue. This is Myron. Myron on the left side over to number 20, Roger Viernes. Viernes over to Elvis Comrie. Comrie give and go back to Viernes. Viernes loses the ball out of bounds as Comrie just overshot him a little bit. Viernes just could not control the ball. It'll be a BU offensive throw-in. And the ball is going to come into the foot of Fran Roberts, the sweeper back. He's a freshman from Braintree, Massachusetts. And Roberts sends the ball deep into the Connecticut zone where it's kicked right back into the BU zone. This is Elvis Comrie. Comrie pass over to Carlos. Carlos, now he holds it up and gets it over to Elio Romeo. Instead, Romeo looking to get around a couple of BU players, but it's cleared away by Greg Swanson right to the foot of Tim Maisley. Maisley keeps the ball in play. Maisley over to Romeo. Romeo give and go back to Maisley. Maisley on the left side sends it in front for Carlos. Carlos, it's clear, but right to the foot of Lynch. Lynch, shot goal saved by Roberts. Now it's Myron, shot goal saved again, Roberts. Myron collects the rebound, sends a lobber in front, looking for the Harris Cornell. Ball loose, but it's scooped up again by Powell, and I've been saying Roberts, but Kenny Powell made 3 great saves in a row, and I mistakenly said Roberts, but Kenny Powell, who is the sophomore, made 3 beautiful plays, keeping the Huskies from getting the ball in the net.
Fantastic play right there, Harold, and I tell you, the second save was unbelievable off his head, and he was knocked completely to the ground. The next shot, a rocket blast, and he got his hands up to knock the third shot down. So a beautiful play right there, 3 of them by Kenny Powell.
This is Bob LeMay. LeMay with the ball on the left side. Gets it over to Graziano Cornolo. Cornolo deep in the BU zone. Cornolo on the 10-yard line. Back to Bob LeMay. LeMay loses the ball momentarily over to Carlos. Carlos lobber in front where it's headed by a BU player. And BU will control the ball as they almost clear the ball out. And they cannot do so as Charlie McSpirit beats a BU player to the ball. McSpirit over to Lynch. Lynch sending the ball into McSpirit again where it's stolen. This time by Steve Pickett. Pickett sends the ball upfield for teammate Greg Davies. And BU has control of the ball. Davies with the ball. Trying to get it to another teammate and finally does so, and it's controlled nicely by number 20, Greg Swanson. Swanson, the only player who hails from Connecticut. He comes from Waterford, Connecticut. Passed the ball back to his teammate Eric Van Sickle. Van Sickle loses the ball momentarily. The ball is now loose. It goes over the touchline. Last touch by the Boston University team, and taking it on a throw-in will be Roger Viernes, the freshman from Wyckoff, New Jersey. 4 minutes and 4 seconds to go in the first half. Connecticut 2, BU 0. And if they could hold BU scoreless, as BU really has not had much offensive thrust this whole evening, if they can hold them scoreless throughout the first half, they'll be looking in very good shape going into the second half with a 2-goal lead. And really everything going their way. BU controlling the ball. This is Casey Tonnery. Tonnery passes up to a teammate, but not far enough, as coming up with the steal is Tim Maisley. Maisley sends it over to Eddie Lynch. Lynch to Comrie. Comrie gets it in the BU zone and sends it all the way back to Carlos. Carlos with a pass over to Maisley. Maisley gets around one BU player, sends it into Graziano Carnolo, who back passes it to Roger Vernes. Vernes into the corner. This time over to, I believe it is, cannot really pick up the number, but coming up with it is Stevenson. Stevenson sending it in front for Elvis Comrie. Comrie pushed from the behind, and the ball is popped up into the air. It's going to be going over the touchline. Last touch by the BU players, and Connecticut will have control of the ball. Elvis Comrie controlling the ball. Stolen by Eric Van Sickle in the corner. Van Sickle sending the ball upfield. It goes over the touchline, and the Huskies will have, I believe, a throw-in. Unless Comrie did get his foot on it right before it went out of bounds. And yes, they're going to rule it. Went right off his foot, and a throw will be had by BU. Verdes gets a head on it. Now Romeo gets a head on it. It goes right to the foot of Elvis Comrie. Comrie again trying to get around Van Sickle. 2:45 to go here in the first half. Van Sickle kicks it out of bounds, and Comrie has the throw-in. Comrie into a Connecticut player. Lobber in front. This time is looking for Eddie Lynch. Lynch has control of the ball momentarily, but a whistle on the play. And I believe they're going to call a dangerous play on Connecticut. And Boston University will have the direct kick with 2 minutes and 26 seconds to go here in the first half, right in front of their own goal. This is Kenny Powell taking the ball back in. Graziano Cornolo right in front of him, as Powell left foot boots it right up field, where it's picked off by Roger Vernes. Vernes loses control of it. It comes to the foot of Casey Tonnery. Tonnery has it, sends it back to a teammate. Number 11, Fran Roberts, the sweeper. Roberts pass the left side to Dave Munson. Munson trying to get around Romeo. Can't do so as his pass goes out of bounds, and the Huskies have a throw-in, and quickly Eddie Lynch gets it into Romeo. Romeo has control of the ball momentarily. It's now stripped from him by BU, and BU coming back the other way. 1 minute and 52 seconds to go here in the first half. McSpirit comes up with the steal right around midfield. McSpirit gets around Tom Bianco, sending it on the left side for Elvis Comrie. Comrie trying to get around the BU defender, cannot do so, and he sends it out. He keeps control of it and sends it back pass to Eric Myron. Myron over to Comrie. Comrie shooting the ball on the left side for Carnolo. Carnolo can't get it. Coming up with it is Carlos. Carlos, he loses it, and coming up with is Cheche Vidal. Vidal kicks the ball up in the air. Coming on with it will be Connecticut. This will be Eddie Lynch. Lynch trying to get around number 5, Greg Devereaux, and he passes it back to Tim Maisley. Instead, the Huskies are going to start the offense right around midfield. 1 minute and 40 seconds to go in the first half. They'd love to get a third goal. They lead right now 2-0. Give and go from Cornolo to Romeo, but a nice play on the defensive end by Chiche Vidal as he sends it over the touchline, and the Huskies will have a throw-in about 30 yards out of the goal on the right side. This is going to be Eddie Lynch with the throw-in. Sends it right up front for Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit is going to be looking for the robber. He does get it, but it's a handball violation 20 yards out, right outside the penalty area, and the handball violation had by Casey Tonnery. The Huskies with a direct kick and a perfect chance